Hey guys, I'm here to do a video to go more into details of how my C-section was and the recovery and all that kind of stuff, because in my other video, the I am back video, I talked a little bit about it, but I didn't really talk about what happened like during my C-section and how my recovery was. I kind of just briefly did it like a little overview of what happened that day and stuff like that. I got a call at around 10:30 or 11 in the morning from a doctor, and he called me and he wanted me to come into the hospital at like as soon as possible. And then I had an appointment to do an ultrasound, just check up on the baby, like 15 minutes after that call that I got. So I told him, you know, I have an appointment there, and he said, okay, just go ahead, but the baby needs to come out today. Go ahead and go to your appointment. And either, you know, I don't want to scare you or anything, but your baby's either going to come out via C-section or we're going to have to induce you. And my baby was breech, so if I was going to be induced, he would have to be flipped, which is called an inversion or inversion, something like that. And so I was freaking out. It was the scariest day of my whole entire life. I didn't know what to think. Like, my baby's gonna be here today. I wasn't expecting him until a month later. Like, I didn't even have anything ready. I mean, I had all the stuff I needed, it just wasn't like ready. I hadn't washed all the clothes, the crib wasn't set up, you know, my room was dirty, and I didn't have time to clean or anything like that because he wanted me to go at that second. Sorry, I don't know if you guys could hear him in the background, but he was not happy. So he's gonna join us for the video, I guess. Okay, so as I was saying, he said that the baby was gonna come out that day. I really didn't have anything like set up for him yet. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to think. I was so scared though because I hadn't prepared myself for birth yet. Like, I wasn't ready to push. I wasn't ready for the pain. I would have been ready on my due date, but I wasn't ready a month before that. That's just crazy. So I went in at about 12 or 12:30. My mom came to my ultrasound appointment. When I was there, she arrived, and then we both went with my boyfriend, of course, to the hospital at around like 12 or 12:30. So I went upstairs to the labor and delivery area. Everything was just happening way too fast. Like, I wasn't prepared for all that day. So when I got to the hospital, to the labor and delivery area, they just put me in my room. I had to take my clothes off, put on the gown, and then I just laid in the bed. They put all the monitors on my stomach to keep track of the baby. They said that the doctor would be there around 5 to do the version, and so I just had to wait. And they wouldn't let me eat anything. I just had breakfast, and that's it. I couldn't eat anything the whole day. So I was just waiting. He got there at 6:30, and he just came in and he's like, so are you ready to do this? And I'm like, no, not really, but you know, what are you gonna do? And I was shaking. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to react. I was just like freaking out. I was not ready that day at all. I was not even prepared. I didn't have my diaper bag ready. I didn't have a hospital bag with me at all. I did not have a hospital bag. That was the worst thing ever. So while I was actually waiting for the doctor to get there, he went home with my mom and got some of my stuff, and he got himself some stuff. Let me just tell you guys, don't ever let your boyfriends pack your hospital bags, because I asked him for like 3 simple things and then like a couple things of makeup. He didn't bring me anything that I asked him for. Like, he brought me what he thought that I wanted, but it totally wasn't what I wanted. So anyways, the doctor got there. He said, you know, are you ready to do this? We're going to do the aversion. You're going to get a little shot to kind of like relax your stomach so that it doesn't hurt so much. And then we're going to try to push this baby out. And I was like, you know, I was actually having a lot of contractions at the time. They were really, really strong contractions. I don't know if it was because I was nervous or what, because that was a month before my due date. So I don't know if it was because I was nervous or because I was hungry, or I don't know. It was just the weirdest thing. He's like, you're having really big contractions and they're close together. It was really weird. I don't know why. But anyways, so, you know, I told him, you know, my baby didn't flip for a reason. You know, I don't really know if I want you to flip him yourself. Like, what if something happens? What if something goes wrong? Then what do we do? He says, well, if something goes wrong, you're going to have to go in for an emergency C-section right away. And I said, well, then what's the point of not just getting a C-section if that's probably going to happen? Because he told me that that's probably what we were going to have to do, was to go and just do this emergency C-section right away if something happened, because he said there's a really big chance that we're going to have to do that. So I told him, you know, I have to think about it for a little bit, because I'm not okay with that. You know, if I'm going to get a C-section anyways, then I'm kind of just want to go ahead and do that. And then he said, well, let me just tell you, I think you're way too young to have a C-section, you know, to have a scar on your stomach. That's never going to go away, but that's up to you. And then he left the room. And that kind of got me, like, upset a little bit, because if I wanted to have a C-section, like, that's my choice. I know I'm young, but, you know, mother's instinct, you know what's best for your child. And I feel like, you know, I knew what was best, and I didn't like the idea of him getting flipped. I just didn't like that idea. I didn't feel comfortable with it for his safety. I didn't care how much it hurt, if it was going to be the best thing for him. But I honestly didn't think that was going to be the best thing for him. So I didn't feel comfortable. You know, I called him back in. I discussed it a little bit with my mom and my boyfriend, and I said, you know, I don't really feel comfortable with it. My boyfriend obviously didn't want me to have a C-section because, you know, it's scary. And my mom was nervous. She was freaking out too. She said, you know what, it's your body. You're the mom. You know what you should do. Just listen to whatever you feel. And what I felt was right, even though this was the scariest decision of my entire life. But the best thing that I felt was to get a C-section. And that was the hardest thing to process through my mind. Like, in 2 minutes, I'm going to go in the room to get a C-section. That's the only thing that was holding me back from saying a C-section. But I thought that was the best thing to do for him. So, you know, I called the doctor back in. And I said, you know what, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do a C-section. And he says, well, that's your decision. I don't think you should do that. But if that's what you want, then go ahead and do that. And I said, yeah, that's what I want. They, you know, brought in some paperwork. I signed the paperwork. They asked me if something happened and I needed a blood transfusion, if I was willing to accept someone else's blood. And I said, yeah, you know. And then I signed the papers and all that kind of stuff. And then they said, okay, the anesthesiologist will be in just a minute to explain to you what's going to happen. So then I waited for like 2 minutes. The guy came in. He said, so are you ready to do this? And I'm like, well, not really. He said, okay, so we're going to put the thing in your back. I forgot what it's called. It wasn't an epidural. It was a Tdap. So then I went into the C-section room. You know, there's a table in the middle where you lay on. And then all around there's, you know, machines and utensils. It's really bright in there. There's a lot of lighting. I first went in. There wasn't that much people. So I just went in and they sat me on the table. They made me like sit down on it with my legs up on the table. So I had to like kind of bend over, and that really hurt because your stomach's in the way, you know, you're still pregnant at this moment. And then they're like, okay, so, you know, here goes the Tdap. Take a deep breath in. And then I took a deep breath, and then they laid me down really fast. I was like, you guys already put the thing in? Yeah, they did. So it didn't hurt at all. So then after that, they laid me down. I had to stretch my arms out to the sides. After that, they just put that thing in front of my face, and, you know, the guy, the anesthesiologist, put like this hot vacuum down my shirt so that I could, because I was freaking out. I had chills. I was shaking. I was cold. He's like, I'm going to poke your leg with this needle. I'm not going to stick it in. I'm just going to poke it. Say there when it hurt. So he would like put the needle up my leg like this, and then once I got to where I could feel the needle, I would say stop, or there. And then he would be like, okay. And then he did it on the other side, and then I would say there. On my left side, the needle, I could feel it sooner than on the right side. On the right side, it could go a little bit more up. On the left side, it didn't go that up, like on the right side. He thought that was a little bit of a problem, but it started numbing a little bit more. Not as much as the right side, but it numbed a little bit more than it was. My incision, they did it kind of like So this is the right side and this is the left side. So they did it really up on the right side and, or like really far to my leg. Like here's my leg, and they did it like this on my right side, and here's my leg on the left side, and they pretty much ended it like right there because it was, they had to do it kind of like cricket, I guess you could say. After that, they told me, you know, we're gonna put a big sticker on you, on your stomach. It doesn't hurt. When we take it off, that's the thing that most moms complain about that hurt the most, taking off the sticker. And I agree with that. So they put on this giant sticker. So he started, I guess there was like 5 doctors in the room and like 10 nurses. I didn't even realize that. I thought there was only 1 doctor and like 2 nurses and then the anesthesiologist. But I guess there was like so many doctors and so many nurses. I didn't know that though. Okay, sorry, he's getting a little fussy. He said, we're gonna go ahead and start now. If you feel anything, like any pain or anything like that, let us know right away. And the anesthesiologist was over here with me. At that point, when he said we're gonna go ahead and start, they sent out the nurse to go get my boyfriend. And then he came in. So my mom came in then. They usually only let 1 person in at a time, but he said I was doing really well. So he said it was okay, you know, for a little bit more support since I was so nervous, that he was gonna go ahead and let her in too. Oh, he's getting tired. He's sleeping. Oh, poor baby. Okay, let me try to lay him down real quick. Hold on. Okay, he was like totally falling asleep. I feel so bad. Okay. So as I was saying, after they took the baby out, my mom was like, oh my god, he has the cord wrapped around his neck. I didn't hear any cries. Everyone was quiet except my mom was screaming and saying that he has the cord wrapped around his neck. I didn't know what was going on. It was the scariest moment of my life. I heard a little cry, and then the doctor said, he's okay. Everything is okay. Then the anesthesiologist came back and he said, you know, your baby's okay, he's breathing, he cried, he needs a little bit of oxygen, so they took him away. The pathologist, you know, said he's okay. He did have the cord wrapped around his neck twice, but he's okay, he breathed. It was tight, but not to the point of where it killed him yet, but it could have. And the doctor said, you know, you're a great mom because you knew what to do. You knew what was the right thing to do. You made the right decision not to try to do an inversion because he had the cord wrapped around his neck and he would have suffocated if we would have tried. And we would have had to go into an emergency C-section. He said, you made the right decision and I'm really proud of you as a mom. You're gonna be a great mom. And, you know, I said, thank you. You know, I was happy of that decision. My mom was like, I can't believe you chose that. You know, my mom wanted me to try to do it naturally. My dad was like, you have to do it naturally. Don't get a C-section. And my boyfriend didn't want me to get a C-section, you know, because of the stress of it and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, at the end of the day, everyone was so happy that I chose that. I was the only one in agreement with having a C-section. I was the only one that was like, no, I'm going to get a C-section. That's what I want. Nobody else wanted me to do that, you know, but at the end, everyone was like, good thing that that's what you chose because otherwise he might not be here right now. So, yeah, after, you know, they closed me up, it took about an hour, 45 minutes to close up my wound. He was out in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, something like that. They took him onto this little table on the side with a heating thing and then an oxygen mask because he did need a little bit of oxygen, only for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then he could breathe on his own. But they did take him, you know, away for a little bit there. And then while I was getting sewn up, you know, they took the baby out of the room with my boyfriend into the NICU. You know, they were gonna let them bond a little bit, change his diaper, you know, kiss him. They let me, you know, look at him for a little tiny bit, touch his face, that's it. I did have to get 4 staples on my left side. I don't know what's up with that left side, but at first I didn't want to get numb all the way, so they didn't cut me all the way on my left side. And then I had to get 4 staples because it didn't want to close. It was really weird. I did get a 12-inch incision rather than a 6-inch incision because he was premature. So it is across my whole stomach, near my pubic area. Pretty big. You know, people said, you know, it's that big. And the doctor said, yeah, it's that big when it's a full term C-section. Mine is about, it doesn't even fit in this screen. It's about, you know, that big. My incision is across my whole stomach because he was a preemie. So it's pretty big, and you know, I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter, you know, as long as I have my son and he's healthy, that's all that counts. So, you know, it's not really a big deal. I mean, it sucks. I rather would have not had a cut, because to this day, it still brings complications, and that is the thing about C-sections, is that it's less painful during birth, but after birth, it's more painful. So after that, I was in the hospital for a week recovering. I got really, when you get a C-section, gas lets into your stomach, which gets trapped when they sew you back up. And this happens to some people, not all people, but it happened to me. I was on a lot of meds. I was on constipation medication, gas medication, and 3 painkillers. It wasn't so much the pain of the incision. I didn't notice really any pain on my incision until about 2 months postpartum. Up until now, I do still notice pain on my incision. At the time, it was mostly just pulling. And the doctor said that was due to my staples. It felt like, you know, my incision's here, and I could feel, it felt like it wanted to pull apart, but it was stuck. That's what it felt like. Like it wanted to pull apart, you know, to relax, but it couldn't, so it would hurt, you know, that way. Once I got my staples pulled out, about 4 days later, I did feel a little bit better, but it still wasn't completely there. He said, once my stitches dissolve, then I will feel better. And that's true. I did feel better once, you know, they were completely dissolved. I did get those little sticker things over my incision. You know, it's the incision, and then you get these sticker things over them that I had to pull off, I think a month and a half later, and that hurt. That was not fun. Pulling them off in the shower was not fun. I did need help taking showers after my C-section, because I couldn't walk. I couldn't wear jeans until recently. About maybe like a month ago, I started wearing jeans. I couldn't wear jeans. It hurt way too bad to wear jeans. So as I was saying about the gas, before I go totally off topic of that, I totally forgot that I was talking about that. So the gas got trapped in my stomach. I was one person out of I don't know how many that suffered from that reaction to the C-section, where this gas got stuck in my stomach, trapped in there. That hurt so bad. The incision didn't hurt. It just felt like a pulling sensation, like I said. But the trapped gas, that hurt so bad. I couldn't walk. It hurt all through my stomach and in my back, my shoulders, and it hurt into my shoulders and all that. It was really painful. That was probably the most painful part of my postpartum days in the hospital, was the gas that I had trapped. I needed a heating pad in my bed, and it hurt so bad. I needed help going pee too. The nurses had to help me go pee. It was hard to get up. So right after my surgery, they put me in the recovery room for 2 hours. I couldn't see my son for 2 hours after my C-section. I was in the recovery room. At 2 hours, I was able to move my toes, and then they said, do you want to go see your son, or do you want to go into the other room that you're going to be staying in? And I said, take me to see my son. I don't care how much it hurts. I'm going to go see my son. So they had to stand me up out of the bed and put me in a wheelchair. That hurt so bad. So they put me in the wheelchair, they rolled me in and into the NICU. And so I was in there, they left me in there for about 20 minutes, and then they wanted me to go into the bed and lay down and relax, because I had just gone through major surgery, and they didn't want me to be up and about in the NICU all day. They said, you need time for yourself. So they took me into my room, they laid me down. It was really hard to lay down. They said, you can't get up all day, and you can't eat at all. I wasn't even able to drink water for the first 24 hours. After 24 hours, the nurse came in. She brought me some water. She said, you can start out with water. She said, you have to drink water. Without drinking little tiny sips, because we don't want you to throw up. So I was taking little sips of water. When I was doing okay, she said, you can drink a little bit more water now. So I started drinking a little bit more water. She started me out with crackers. She brought in some crackers. So I had crackers with water for the first day after I could eat. She brought some applesauce, and then she said, okay, you're ready for a meal. Low calorie meal. And she said because high calories could make you throw up. So I had my meal and then I did good. So then she was like, okay, well, now you can start eating normal meals. Oh yeah, another thing I totally forgot to mention. They put in like a catheter into my vagina so I could pee, so I didn't have to get up and pee. I could just, my pee would just be drained into the catheter automatically. That was the most awesome invention I have ever heard of, because it felt so good not to have to get up after a C-section, to just be able to just pee. You didn't even feel like you had to pee. It would just come out like it out of the tube into this bag, and then the nurse would come empty it. I would definitely recommend to walk after your C-section. As soon as they say you're allowed to walk now, I would definitely walk, because that really, I feel like that really helped me recover faster. I mean, it was a pain walking. It hurt really bad, but it was totally worth it, especially to go see my baby. He did have to get a tube up his nose to help him finish his bottle. I didn't like that. You know, you don't want your kid to go through something like that, but he needed it, so what are you gonna do? After a week that I was there, they let me go home. The baby wasn't home with me for the first, I was in the hospital for 1 week. He was in there for 2. So 1 week at home without the baby. It was really depressing. I had to go to the NICU every day. I was there all day, every day. Overall experience with the C-section is, it's an easy way to have a baby, but the recovery is really hard and it takes time. Like I said, I'm still not fully recovered. About a month ago, I was able to start wearing jeans. My hair hasn't fallen out. Everything's good. So if you guys have any questions about a C-section, if you guys have any questions on anything that I might not have talked about or something that I might not have gone into detail about, let me know. So I will see you guys on my next video.